Recently, we had an 86-year-old woman who with stage 4 breast cancer who was admitted to our hospice. She lived in a very rural part of Wisconsin in our region that we serve. She had lived on that farm for 62 years and had one son who was her primary caregiver, and she had no one else. She did not want to leave her home until she absolutely had to, and at that time was still her own decision maker. Her primary care provider had been her nurse practitioner for 28 years. I was a hospice medical director, and the patient wanted to have a do not resuscitate order in place. Her nurse practitioner was not able to sign that order. I made a home visit because the patient was not able to come in and did not wish to come in. I was able to sign that order. But as her disease progressed, likely due to the cancer spreading to her brain, she became incapable of making her own decisions and had done the due diligence of filling out an advance directive, as 95% of our patients do. She specifically had very explicit wishes that if she did get to a point where she could not be cared for by her son, she did not want to be a burden and would like to be in a facility. The nurse practitioner and I had evaluated her, and she definitely was no longer her own decision maker. I had to then proceed to try and find a physician who would make a home visit to try and be the second signature on her documents to activate her power of attorney. I was not able to find someone, so at the expense of our hospice and to the trauma of the patient, because she didn't ever want to come into the hospital and had avoided the hospital all of her life, we had to bring her in under hospice respite care to our hospital so I could have a second signature on that form and then get her into placement. This was cost burdensome, and it was totally inappropriate because her nurse practitioner and I were more than capable of making that decision and signing that form on our own.
Our foremost concern is the changing of the standard required for certification of terminal condition and persistent vegetative state. Physicians are almost exclusively the ones who can accurately interpret the information utilized to determine a terminal condition or persistent vegetative state for appropriate patient care. These determinations require careful, specific examinations and auxiliary testing, such as the use of electroencephalography or EEG. I had a patient a while back who had been hospitalized with a traumatic brain injury. It really looked like she wasn't going to survive this episode, and she did have some very minimal obvious brain function on her examination. With careful examinations of her auxiliary testing, it was clear that she did have preserved brain function and was young. So we recommended supportive care when the family asked about withdrawing care. Almost a year later, she's living at home with minimal assistance and has returned to school. I'm not sure that an advanced practice clinician could have made the correct assumptions and had the correct discussion with the family, in which case she wouldn't have been with us today.